right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, a physique update from Samson Dauda. At 10.5 weeks out from the 2024 Arnold Classic, where he's going to be attempting to defend his title for the first time ever, and this time he's going to have to defend it against a recent Mr. Olympia in Hadi Chupin. And first of all, for 10.5 weeks out, I think he looks really good here. And obviously he has the benefit of having recently competed right before going into this prep, so his starting point is probably a little bit leaner than it typically would be at this close to a show. And can I just say, the other thing that I really like about Samson Dauda is he actually has really big calves. Sometimes you get these guys with really big legs, really big quads, like Big Ramy, for example, and they have like no calves at all. Samson has these really big legs, and his calves actually match. He has like these really big brick-like calves. And that's something for whatever reason, I guess calves are just kind of a genetic thing that some people just have and some people just don't. But as you watch this video, look at Samson's calves. He's a really complete bodybuilder from head to toe, even down to the calves. But the thing that I really like about this Arnold Classic is that Samson is going to be pushed here. Not that he wasn't going to be pushed before we knew that Hadi was doing it. But let's be honest, without Hadi in this lineup, maybe the best guy would be Andrew Jacked. And if you go by the recent trend, Samson would probably beat Andrew Jacked again. He beat him the last 2 times they went head-to-head. But with Hadi being in this lineup, I feel like it's going to push Samson even harder if he wants to successfully defend his title. He's got a real challenge on his hands now because Samson's arguably vulnerable spot is conditioning, and that's where Hadi's going to push him the most. And if Samson can beat Hadi at this Arnold Classic, keep in mind at the Olympia, Samson was 3rd, Hadi was 2nd. If Samson can make a case for him being top 2 at the Olympia and beating Hadi here, think of the momentum that Samson will have going into the Olympia. If he's able to beat Hadi at the Arnold, that puts him next in line behind Derek for the Olympia title. What a rapid rise to the top that would be for Samson. And I don't think it's impossible. He just has to push his conditioning a little harder. But overall, looking at him at 10 weeks out, I'm very impressed by what I see here. Now, next up in the news, I wanted to talk about this. Recently, Chris Bumstead went on the PBD podcast, the Valuetainment show, and they talked about a lot of different topics, but there were 2 really specific topics that I wanted to mention in this video specifically. So, 2 things that they talked about. One of them being Chris Bumstead going to open bodybuilding, and the other one being how much longer is Chris going to compete. And one of the questions that I thought was really interesting that Patrick asked Chris is, does winning the Classic Physique Olympia give you any significant or even noticeable increase in income for any of your businesses? And Chris responded and said, maybe the first couple of years, but he said winning it this year, honestly, no. It didn't really impact any of his businesses, whether he competed or not. And obviously, for probably several years now, Chris has really not needed the $50,000 that you win to win Classic Physique. The prize money really hasn't matched Chris's level of income for a while. But I thought it was noteworthy that in this interview, Chris actually confirmed it, that we had kind of been speculating on this, but he confirmed that winning the Olympia for him does not really impact his income at all, and he doesn't see the effects in really any of his businesses. Now, he also used this as one of the reasons, the other reasons being his health, and now that he's starting a family, as not the reasons why he's not interested in winning 10 titles. He's not interested in 7, 8, 9, 10. He talks about how he has no interest and no plans to do 10 Olympias, even though in theory he could. And he said the number to him at this point doesn't really matter. He already holds the record, and it doesn't really matter if he wins 1 more, 2 more, 3 more, 5 more. He is already cemented as a legend, and that's true. So we're probably not going to see Chris compete for very much longer just based on those 2 things. Now, Patrick, I was also impressed with this question because Patrick also asked, and he's always done a good job when he has bodybuilders on. He's always got some good, behind-the-scenes knowledge because he's a bodybuilding fan. And he asked him, well, what about going to open? Because if you really wanted to cement your legacy, it doesn't really matter how many more Classic Physique titles you win. But if you won just one Open Olympia, that would be way bigger than winning 5 more classic physique titles, and I agree with that. And Chris basically reiterates that he's really not interested in open. He's considered it, but he thinks realistically he wouldn't be able to do, just show up looking how he looks like his classic physique. He wouldn't be able to be that same size, even though in theory we think he could do that, show up, and still do really well. And he said one of the reasons for that is because in the back of his mind, he's a competitor, and even if he's thinking about his health and not adding size, as a competitor, he would be saying to himself, there's things that I can do to be more competitive. I could be bigger. I could take more. I could do more. And in the back of his mind, he would be thinking, well, I didn't do enough. So he recognizes that if he did do it, he wouldn't be able to really do it in a healthy way. He would really want to do it to the best of his ability. And then he kind of says it's pretty much out of the cards. So I thought this was a pretty interesting interview. I highly recommend you guys check out the whole thing. They talk about a wide range of stuff, not just bodybuilding. But I think those were the important highlights, especially considering that that update that Chris had posted going into the Olympia, saying that this was the hardest prep that he's ever had, and talking about the struggles he had mentally in this prep, which he also talked about in this interview, and then kind of hinting at a potential retirement. He's starting a family. His brother-in-law, Ian Valliere, just retired this past year. I have a feeling we're not going to see Chris compete in very many more Olympias, just based on the way he was talking in this interview. And then this comes, again, after that post going into the Olympia this year, where it seemed like this might be his last Olympia. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Will we see Chris on stage again? And if so, how many more times? Now, next up in the news, I felt like we should mention that the IFBB 2024 schedule for open pro shows just came out. And obviously, as we get later on in the year, some of these things are going to change. So we're not going to talk about all of them, but we're going to talk about some of the ones, at least in the very immediate future, because some of these, right around the time of the Arnold Classic and right around the beginning of the competitive bodybuilding season in 2024 that we're about to enter into, are relevant. So we've got the Arnold Classic right around the corner. That is going to be the 29th of February to the 2nd of March. Then you have the Arnold Classic UK just a couple weeks after that. Then the Arnold Classic Brazil right after the Arnold Classic UK. So that's going to be April 5th through the 7th. And then the 13th, you've got this new show, the Detroit Pro, that's being promoted by Fouad Abiad. I'm excited to see how the lineup for that one stacks up. I think it's going to be pretty good. I think what you're going to see is a lot of these guys that are doing the Arnold, they're going to go on to do the Arnold Classic UK, maybe hang in there for another couple weeks, do the Arnold Brazil, also this Detroit Pro, where they're probably going to have a decent amount of prize money, a decent amount of publicity with Fouad's channel. And then going into the New York Pro in May, where they just raised the prize money. The Cali Pro also in May. Korea Pro also in May. Toronto Pro right around the corner in June. Spain, Italy, and then the Mr. Big in July. You've got a pretty packed first half of the year coming up for bodybuilding. So even though it's pretty slow right now, we're in December. We're in kind of the post-Olympia slump that typically happens. Because the year is essentially over. There's no more open pro shows this year. The Olympia's done. It's pretty much shut down until the Arnold. But if you just look ahead to these next few months, the first few months of the year, there's a pretty stacked number of shows coming up. So we got a lot to look forward to there. Now, next up in the news, we just got another guest posing from your new Mr. Olympia, Derek Lunsford. So Derek has been pretty active since winning that title just a little bit over a month ago now, maybe a month and a half ago. I believe this is his second or third guest posing since winning the Olympia. In just a month and a half time at the Mel Chansey Holiday Classic. These photos courtesy of PCS Photography, Phil Stokes. Derek actually looks a lot bigger here to me than he had been looking. It feels like he's actually fully starting now his off season. But look, I just wanted to commend Derek for doing another guest posing, giving the fans what they want, and being a very active Mr. Olympia. I mean, we're right in the middle of the holidays now. He's about to have a kid. It's been a month and a half since the Olympia, and he's still out here doing guest posings. You really got to respect what Derek has been doing as champion. I think we've already seen more guest posings from Derek in the past month and a half as champion than we saw in the entire year of Hadi Chupin being champion. Did Hadi even do a guest posing? So I do think that's significant, and I think that's worth pointing out. Derek's out here doing it, the business of bodybuilding. Now, next up in the news, we got the most recent update from James the Shed Hollingshead at 11 and a half weeks out from the Arnold Classic, where he's going to be making his return to the competitive stage. We really haven't seen James compete in quite some time. I believe it's been over a year now that he's been out trying to fully really prepare for a comeback. But we got this side chest here where he looks really thick, really grainy, really dense, really muscular from the side. I'm excited to see how James does here. I think he's a little bit of a wild card. He's a show-winning bodybuilder. He's been to the Olympia. We just haven't seen him recently, so he's not really fresh on our minds. But he could be a guy in this Arnold lineup that does some serious damage, and I think he could take us by surprise here. Now, the final story that I've got for you guys today, we got some more physique updates from William Bonac, who is in his second week of prep now. And I'm honestly surprised that William Bonac wasn't on that Arnold Classic lineup. Maybe he'll do the UK show, but he looks really good. He looks like he's in pretty good shape for a guy that's just starting his prep. Like I said, he's got these cross striations in his quads. But I'm really curious as to what show he's going to do, and that's why I showed those the upcoming shows earlier. Do you think he's going to do the UK Arnold, the Brazil Arnold, the Detroit Pro perhaps, maybe the New York Pro? He chose to skip the Olympia this year, took some time off. He still looks good. I'm just really curious to know which show he's going to pick to actually do, since he's not going to do the Arnold, which is a show that he's won, a show that he's done several times. The Arnold almost doesn't feel the same without Bonac's name being in the lineup. So I am kind of curious why he didn't do it and then which show he's going to do. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What show do you think Bonac's going to do for the 2024 season? And how do you think he's going to do there? Let me know down below. That's going to wrap it up for the video, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy the video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, click that bell notification icon, all that good stuff. And as always, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at NickStrengthPower, my Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power, my secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.